the effect is?
Well, the effect is we worked on some of the things today out in practice, and tomorrow we'll watch them and show them. Cleveland they didn't do anything any different as far as plays, sets, positioning, and we just have to do a better job in covering.
The last play of the game, I watched it again this morning. What happened to the trap and the double team?
Well, the one thing is we talked about the trap in the half court, Steve. We talked about how we wanted to trap and where we wanted to trap from, and what happened was they took it full court. But it also too gave us a perfect chance in situations where we had done it before. And to go to trap, we had the trap on, we let it out, and it's on all of us. It's on me first. It's on all of us. We didn't set up the trap for a full court situation, and they took it out full court.
Did Pascal come out early, or was he just?
He left quick, and we've trapped in that situation before with him full court, and that was a perfect time. They had him trapped at the beginning, let him out, and then I think he got spooked when Love took off. And again, we said somebody else has to take the last shot other than James. So again, learning experience, tough situation, but we'll learn from it.
For a coach, how risky a move is that?
It's very risky, because then you look at me.
You turn over the ball, you steal the ball, you're at the rim.
Right. Well, it's a risky move on their part. It's a risky move on our part, because with their three-point shooters, we hadn't been trapping James all game, and but again, what he's been doing the last month or so is those type of shots, and so it's a risky move to take it full court, because, like you said, if we execute the trap properly, now you have their four-man, their center, bringing the ball down the floor. So it's a risky move on both our parts, because we open it up the floor full court, and they're risking a turnover at the other end.
Dwane, there's some confusion after, like OG said he didn't think that you were supposed to trap.
Right.
Stuff like that. So
Well, he doesn't have to worry about that. The other person we told the person nearest to him, and which was in that instance was going to be Pascal.
Okay.
So
he knew, and then but was confused when they went.
Well, yeah, when we went full court, that was threw everybody for a loop.
Coach, do you have to say something to you guys, being on the kind of wrong side of history, knowing that they're going to see this shot forever?
Well, again, I don't think in those terms of worrying about history and all that stuff. You just don't want to be in that situation where the guy hits a one-hand runner shot going to his left, goes in. You don't want to be a part. I don't know about history and all that stuff, but it's a tough way to lose a game, because I thought we played with the right disposition, the way you have to play them physically. Defensively, in the fourth quarter especially, was the way you have to play that team.
Coach, do you have a meeting with DeMar after a game like that?
No, I talked to him before practice today, but again, we've been in that situation before, Steve, where the five best guys are out there performing and playing. I didn't want to break up that group, and as a coaching staff, we talked, did we get DeMar in? No, this group is rolling. So we went with the five guys that were getting the job done at the time, and it wasn't anything personal, wasn't trying to embarrass Kyle or anybody, but those five guys were getting it done.
What were you getting, I presume, out of CJ?
The threat of a three-point shot, the spacing, and a guy that can make a play out there. So that was the things he was giving us.
Dwane, how do you kind of wrap your mind around the plays in game one and also game two, and how close this could be to something different?
As a coach, you always think, what could I have done differently? What decisions could I make? What play could I have drawn up differently? The timeout play after Kyle called the timeout in the first game, and the one he called yesterday. What can you do? What play could we run? Again, we had such a mismatched lineup in there at that time that, messes with what you want to run. JV wasn't in. We didn't have any timeouts to go back, so now if JV's in there, now he's got to go back down and play defense. So there's a lot of decisions go into that, but the execution out of that, you beat yourself up. Could we run something differently? Out of that timeout as from a coaching standpoint. So, you take certain plays in certain situations. Every coach does. I don't care who it is. You wonder what you could have done differently to help your team, get that extra point, or extra basket, that extra possession defensively.
How unusual is it that in those kind of situations your 1 or 1A best player isn't available.
That's well, and your normal lineup is not in there. That's more key, more so than 1A or 1B. You know, we have whether it's CJ being in. You got 2 point guards, in, and Serge was in at the 5, which normally we have JV in there. So you know, those are the things that distorts things a little bit more so than 1A or 1B being in there.
Obviously, LeBron has done what he's done in this series. He was great in the Indiana series too. How much does it hurt that some of these other guys that were quiet in the Indiana series have sort of gone off against you?
Well, those that hurts. Attention to those guys that have a championship pedigree, whether it's Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love. You know, those guys are very capable players, and again, those are the things that have hurt us a little bit. Some of the switching we did in Game 2 hurt us, and we got caught a couple of times last night in some switches we didn't like. So staying away from those, being disciplined in those situations are paramount, and not letting those guys get going. Because now all at once you get in rotation, and then comes the 3-point shot by Korver. The 3-ball comes into effect, and that's what you want to stay out of, or we're trying to stay out of with them.
DeMar's work ethic has obviously been unquestioned throughout his time. When he looks back at him not being on the floor in Game 3, do you think he has to learn that he has to be a more effective player without the ball, whether it is that shooting or the off-ball defending?
To be honest, Eric, I think he's our best point guard because they're blitzing him, they're trying to get the ball out of his hands, and I thought he got a little anxious early in the game trying to beat. You know, we did such a great job of hitting the short roll guy and JV making a play, and I thought he got a little anxious as trying to beat it and put himself in trouble even more. He's our best point guard. He can see over the defense. He can hit the short roll guy, and he may have to give himself up in those situations, which he has done before. And and he didn't. He had a tough time making shots last night. It was a tough game for him, and I felt for him. But it wasn't anything personal. It's nothing that DeMar's not this, he's not that. He was just having a tough night last night, and you have to give Cleveland some credit with their defense with that too, because they were working to get him out. But there's things he can do to help us as a team, and he knows that, and he's done it. So, but we didn't get it done last night.
Dwane, you've seen growth from OG all season long. What are you seeing specifically in this series?
The maturity factor, the confidence level, the physicality that he's given to James, and the ability to, again, there's nobody that's going to stop James one-on-one, but I think he's making him work for every inch of the court. And that's what you got to do. And then Pascal comes in. But his confidence level, his maturity, his composure is huge for a rookie. Because the moment is big. And again, you say, what was the plan? But it's a lot of times experienced players will read a situation and make a play, and that's what he's doing. There was a couple plays last night. It wasn't his base go, or what we call, getting to come and cover the drive, but he read it and made the play. So those are the things that mature veteran players make in those situations that are reads more so, and he's doing little things like that also.
Beyond just him shooting the ball well, has it been a surprise, or what have you seen from his offensive playmaking almost for himself?
Well, at this moment, Eric, is a surprise, and a good surprise to see how he reacts, because a lot of players, that age, without playoff experience, it's tough for them to make plays in this setting. So that's the thing that he's done that's been a pleasant surprise, and believe me, it's going to pay huge dividends down the road. Just talking to Fred VanVleet, him getting in Game 4 last year gave him an air of confidence coming into this season. So the growth that OG has going through this season, topping it off with a good playoff run through the playoffs so far, is really going to benefit him.
Dwane, it's been an emotional roller coaster this series with no room for margin for error now. What do you see when you look at your team?
Well, Warriors, you choose to continue to fight. I remember back in Seattle, we were down 3-0 in the finals in '96. and everybody wrote us off. Probably Steve did too against Chicago. He was probably writing back then too. But at that time, guys just made up their mind. We're not going to quit. We're not giving in. We're not quitting because we've got too much sweat equity. We won the regular season conference title. Guys put in the work to get where they are. We've got a group of young players who've committed to getting better, and they did. So, again, the easy thing to do is just to write ourselves off and say, hey, look, we're not worried. But you choose to be a warrior. You choose to continue to fight. And I think we have a room full of guys that showed in the fourth quarter last night. We have a room full of guys like that. And whatever narrative comes out of that, you know, people choose to write or talk about, let them do it. But don't let the narrative be that you didn't choose to continue to fight.